Welcome back to the podcast.
And we're back. Feels good.
Yeah, it does. I feel like I got a little bit of a second wind, so.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. You got your coffee split into two parts now, babe.
I don't really know. You kind of told me what we're talking about today, but I guess we'll just flow with it.
But yeah, you were saying your coffee you drink sometimes.
Yeah.
Now you split your cups. Like if you have 10 ounces, you drink 5 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon.
Yes.
How's that been working for you?
I don't think it's doing anything.
Oh.
I think it's just a ritual of like afternoon, like you just want something to sip on after lunch.
Literally, like I have this.
Jerome's drinking his.
It's a Gold Thread plant-based tonic, nourishing and restore the antioxidants.
Which he claims are supposed to be really good for you.
It has like a whole thing on here. Anyways,
the marketing got you?
Yeah.
It has a whole thing on here.
They got me. Anyways.
That's good. No, it's better than drinking caffeine.
Dude, yeah, that's true. Well, first things first, guys, get your books, audibletrial.com/Cafecito Sarina. Don't forget to get your free trial, listen to cool books, have some entertainment, get to learn some stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool. Anyways, moving on. Make sure you get it. Moving on, babe. How was your past weekend?
Osito just gave the cutest stretch. How was this last weekend? Wow, your sister got married.
Dude, yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah. Jerome's sister got married. We drove down to Paso, which is about a 4.5 hour drive from where we live.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't too bad driving down there, actually, surprisingly, being 34 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
I drove half, and then you drove the other half, which was nice.
On the way back, I drove all the way, though.
Well, yeah, so I was going to say, well, first of all, so we got there, and it was nice. It was a packed weekend. I mean, we got there Friday. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of stuff to do on Friday, like checking into the hotel. She had a rehearsal. We've both never been in a wedding.
Yeah, or even been to like a real, I haven't really
been to a wedding.
Real traditional wedding like that, yeah.
Same. So it was like, man, there was like the rehearsal, right, for the wedding.
Yeah.
That was about an hour. It was a little stressful.
That Friday, they had it, yeah.
Yeah, right when we got there.
Yeah. And
then after that, they had a rehearsal dinner.
It wasn't a rehearsal dinner, but it was like a get-together.
Well, they called it a rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
So it was like a post-rehearsal dinner. And so we all went to dinner. We were there till 9 o'clock.
Dude, yeah. It was fun, though. You're like drinking,
super
eating.
Fun. Yeah, it was nice. Food was good. Open bar. Couldn't enjoy it. Like, only time I go somewhere with an open bar, couldn't enjoy it. I've never been somewhere with an open bar, ever.
Both times. Even their wedding had like an open bar with a lot of wine and beer.
Dude.
Your favorite.
So then, so then we went back to the hotel that night. We were up until like midnight, and I gave your sister, like, we gave her like gifts, things like that. Went to bed, woke up, had to be at the venue. I had to be at the venue by 8:45 in the morning.
Yes.
To get hair and makeup done. Dude, and then it's just a whole day.
Dude, yeah, for a girl, because they gotta get all set up, all glammed up.
Hair, makeup, photos.
Dude.
And then we took photos for hours.
It makes me think even our wedding was a pretty long day in general.
Yeah, I don't even remember at this point.
Dude, but they're like, both,
the whole day.
It's a long day for everybody involved.
Yes, weddings are a lot.
But it's for a good cause, though.
Oh yeah,
you know
like, it was fun. It was so much fun. The wedding itself was amazing, really beautiful. Not a lot of people, actually.
It was a handful.
It ended up being, I think, a little less than like 60 people, because some people didn't show up.
A lot of the people that I know that were there, a lot of them were vaccinated.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
And at the end, they opened up they had like, a dance party. It was like a club in there.
Well, I mean, you dance at a wedding.
Yeah, no, it was cool though, dude.
Oh, I yawned.
Hey, you're fired, dude. Don't yawn on my podcast.
I can't not yawn.
Don't yawn on. I'm just kidding. Imagine if I was serious.
And so, it was fun though. The wedding was so beautiful. It was, I think if anything, looking back, I just think like, I don't know if I've ever seen your sister so happy.
Dude, right.
And I think that was really cool. That's like, she was dancing and even just like walking out with him. They both seemed
like they were happy.
Super I mean, but her husband now, Matt, he's a happy guy.
Yeah, he's pretty, if he's not happy, it's because he's tired.
Yeah, that's so true.
He's a good guy.
But her, like, she's pretty chill and like relaxed. And so you don't see her like, she doesn't show a lot of like exciting emotions. Over things. So like to see her at her wedding, wedding, like she just had a constant smile and she was just really happy and she looked very proud.
Yeah.
Like
what they put together.
Of what they put together, of him, right?
Yeah.
Like her husband and everything. And it was just really cool to see.
That was a good moment.
Yeah, it was a great memory for sure.
I call it a moment. It was a good memory.
It was a good moment. I mean, it just happened. It hardly feels like a memory yet.
Dude, yeah.
It passes. Well, then that's the thing, and then it's over.
Dude, it sucks, man.
It's like all this time and money and all the things, and it's like, cool, you're married now.
I remember I forgot where I was standing somewhere when they had when they opened up for dancing and stuff, and I was like kind of standing there sitting, and I was like, oh, man, I want to be like, this place is cool, like,
yeah,
this is like I try to sit there and like sit in it,
take
for a
it
little
in,
bit. Yeah, take it in, like, because I noticed I do that like in a lot of places now, because then it just passes, dude.
Yeah, then it's just like a blimp in your timeline, which is
dude,
crazy. But yeah, it was really fun. And then the next day we drove right back. We
Sarina
got breakfast.
Was like, we're going home right after because she's pregnant.
Dying.
Before Sarina was pregnant, we knew they were going to have a wedding somewhere. We were like, we could go for like 4 or 5 days, have a whole week out of it, because have some fun, have some drinks, you know. But now, like, when Sarina was obviously been pregnant, we're like the complete opposite. We're like, we'll go there, we'll do all the things,
and come right back.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, so like wedding side was amazing, pregnancy side, like I was dying.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to like be quiet about it too.
Dude.
Like we were standing and taking photos for over an hour, like 2 hours.
The photos weren't that hard to me. I was kind of chilling with them.
Dude, it was pretty chill.
Yeah.
But like for me, standing there hurt so bad. Like someone brought out a chair for me. I sat down. But just like the day after the wedding, like I remember like that wedding night, we were home and in bed by midnight.
Yeah.
And Alex laid with me and I fell right asleep. We were out. And then the next morning I woke up and I had to use the bathroom, and my feet hurt so bad I didn't even want to walk to the bathroom.
Dude.
Like it was really bad. And so I think like as soon as we got home, like the car ride home sucked.
It was long.
Super long, same amount of time, but felt super long. And then we got home, and after I like showered, settled in, I took a bath to soak my feet, did all the things. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm fine. And I realized like with pregnancy, like as long as I'm home,
yeah,
I'm fine. I'll get up, I take my walks, I do what I need to do, but I could wear something super comfy. But if I have to be like around people at this point and like going somewhere, like it's hard. It's
killer, dude.
Yeah. So I just kept saying like this coming weekend we have a birthday party to go to for your brother.
Yeah,
it's his 40th.
It never ends.
It's his 40th, and then after that we're done though. Like for Mother's Day we'll stay home. Memorial Day we're staying home.
Pretty much.
Hopefully we'll have the baby by then.
Yeah.
But this is it. So like after this it's just like coasting until the baby's here.
But
nice.
You survived it.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. It was worth it for sure.
Yeah, super fun weekends. That's what we did this past weekend. It was crazy.
Weddings.
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah. Probably like we said, like that's the last, I mean, that's the only big wedding that will be happening in this family, period.
Probably, yeah. In my family, yeah.
Yeah. There's no one in my family, so.
Yeah, it was a good one. So.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Yeah. On my end, I wasn't dying as much as Sarina was. I was kind of just there enjoying it. What was hard was that we brought our dog. And honestly, I wish we could have had someone to watch Osa so we didn't bring him.
He stayed in the pool house.
Yeah, like ironically. Or like, I'll say ironically, but that has nothing to do with what I was going to say. But anyway, I was going to say, but like, or like eat, like just something to have someone else watch him. Like, it would have been cool to have someone take care of our dog, because honestly it was super like hard, and it was the only thing that annoyed me that weekend was having to take care of our dog, which sucks. But true. It was super hard with him, but we figured it out. And
it wasn't super hard, it was just an extra thing to think about, you know what I mean? Like during the wedding we'd like walk over to the pool house and like take him out to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, well,
and plus Jerome like I'm not gonna do that right now. So you were kind of doing it all one man show. It was a little
tough, but we figured it out and we still had a great time.
Yeah, it was totally fun.
Other than that, super fun, great weekend.
Yeah, it was good. I loved it.
But before it brings us to our main topic, but before we get to the main topic, I just wanted to say that I launched a cool mini website for our podcast. Yeah. It's called Cafecito con JJ and Sarina wordpress.com. It's through WordPress, guys.
I'm assuming the link's in the bio.
Links in our podcast bio. You guys can click on it and check it out. It's pretty cool.
Sweet.
You can subscribe to our, there's an email list on there.
Really?
It shoots you out every
That's
time
awesome.
we do a new podcast and whatnot.
Oh, that's great. So you don't have to miss it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But either way, if you subscribe through Spotify or Apple, it uploads it automatically and it reminds you. But
Does
if you
it?
want emails too, go ahead and sign up.
Hey, you never know when we'll hit you up in that email list with something free.
That's true. We're scheming.
There you go.
Anyways, but our main topic was, so we just went to my sister's wedding.
Yeah.
We just got married like 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. So I thought, why don't we talk about things that you should discuss before you get married?
It's a good topic.
Because I was thinking about that, it's funny too, because I saw, right before I was trying to think about what we should talk about, I saw a meme that said, make sure, because I was turning on the AC, and I saw a meme too on Facebook, someone had posted it.
Wait, so you were turning on the air conditioner.
And it reminded me of a meme that I had saw earlier.
I was like, and you were looking at memes?
I'm like word scrambling. And it said, make sure you and your significant other know where you like your AC set at before you get married.
That's funny. That's a good one.
I thought that it was like a joke.
Yeah.
It was like a funny joke.
Yeah,
but then I was like, dude.
it's funny.
But then I was like, what are some things that you should discuss and talk about before you actually get married? Like, what is that? Like the big questions.
That's a good. What do you have a list? Do you have any ideas?
That's why we're here, babe. Because we got married. We're the list.
It's crazy though, because we lived together for so long before we got married, and we were together for 8 years before we got married. So it's like, we've had all the conversations and all the questions versus other people who get married or get engaged within a year or two. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then they get married or never live together. Exactly. Some people never live together.
My dog is going crazy.
Osito.
Sorry, guys.
The cons of having your dog. And speaking of how difficult Osito is.
Dude, here he goes.
He can't sit down.
We're knocking our equipment over.
So, yeah. No, I think...
I could give you an easy toss-up. I'll give you a layup here.
Let's hear it.
So I guess a big question that a lot of couples would have before getting married is the last name.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Do you want to take, does she want to change her last name?
Does she want to change her last name? What are you guys going to do? How would you come to terms with it? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, so then I guess that's more so a question to ask, as you're basically already engaged.
Yeah.
And you're just planning to get married, right?
Yeah.
You're planning the wedding and stuff. I feel like
the last name.
Dun dun dun. Your sister hyphenated.
Yeah, see, she Matt and
it meant a lot to her.
Yeah, and her significant other Matt wanted.
He wasn't a big fan.
He wanted her to take his last name.
Yeah.
A little bit more traditional.
Yeah.
They navigated it though.
Yeah, I mean, who are you to make you? That's not your decision to make.
Yeah.
You have to respect what she wants.
So in this case, if there was a disagreement, you would say respect what?
I don't think it's your decision. I mean, what do you think?
When it comes to changing the name?
You probably really wanted me to change my last name.
Yeah,
I think you did.
I did. I don't know why.
But if I said I wanted to hyphenate or keep my last name, why does it matter? I feel like, if anything, that's a great question because it makes you reflect on why do you care?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you? There's a lot of possession in marriage. And I think a lot of us, this is one of those things we have to stop and question because we just are raised off majority of people.
Sorry, I want to cut you off. If you listen to our podcast after we got married, I'm so sorry, I can't talk. After we got married, we talked about decisions like this during a wedding, why they do certain things.
Well, we talked about, why they do certain things in history behind weddings,
so
which
we
is
kind of talked about it, but but then now you're talking about the name change. So
I'm just saying, so there's a little bit of ego in your wife taking your last name. Now she's your wife. It's your last name. It's your legacy. Mm-hmm. It's everything to do with you. I think there's a little bit of possession in that.
Yeah.
And I think most of us are just raised that way. That just is the way that it is. That's how things work.
Yeah.
And so I think as a man, I feel maybe stop and question but why? Just because that is traditionally how things go, have you ever stopped and asked yourself, well, why does it matter to you? And is there ego in that? And do you need to check that?
Well, to play the devil's advocate, I'd say, well, we're going to be one family. So we should have one name.
So do you think that you can only be a family if you have the same last name?
No, but it's we're combining our families. So you should take my last name kind of thing.
Yeah, see, that's tricky though, because I think you don't have to get married. Two people can have a kid and be a family and never get married.
This is true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's just at the end of the day, it's what it means to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which, yeah, like that's one way to look at it. Like, well, you know, we'll become a family. Like if it feels to us, like that makes us more of a family, then that's cool for us. Maybe not to other people.
Yeah.
But I guess that's my first question is like, and this is why you asked this question.
Yeah.
I think it's good to know, like, but why does it matter to you?
You don't get married because you guys can't come to an agreement on the last name.
Well, then it wasn't meant to be.
Exactly. That's so
funny. But that's a good question. Like, did she say why she hyphenated? I don't think we ever really asked.
She
we just assumed.
Wanted to keep her name, I believe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she felt just as attached to it as like you would as one of the sons.
Yeah.
Like she wanted to keep. But I wonder if her kids will hyphenate because she's not then going to keep it going on anyways.
That's
like
not
that's
really
your job.
Our business.
No, I'm talking about for women who hyphenate. Yeah. What the heck? I mean, in general, like, and so then of course because we know her, I'm thinking like, I wonder what the logic is there. Yeah, like I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because what I mean is like if you hyphenate, then do your kids hyphenate? Because I know that like for example, and we're only talking about her because she's the only person we know who's hyphenated.
Yeah.
Her husband doesn't want his kids to be hyphenated. Like he wants him to have his last name.
Like when you write it all down at the end of the day, you're gonna stick with whatever's written first.
Last. Whatever's written last.
Well, no, because his last name would go first.
No. So like my sister's name is.
Don't be giving out names.
No, her last names. So like her last names. Does it matter? Okay, so if your name's like Sally Joe Johnson, what's another last name? Sally
Smith.
Joe Johnson Smith.
Yeah.
Smith will be your last name because it's your first name and your very last name.
Oh, see, I always thought it was Johnson. You cut Smith off.
No.
Oh.
It's the other way around.
It's so complicated. Either way, that's a big question to think about, I guess, right?
Super interesting, yeah.
If you are going to be changing your last names, because there's a lot of legal paperwork that you do when you do get married. It's really interesting.
It's a headache, yeah.
Yeah, but in it asks you like what you want your last name to be when you're getting married.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest decisions you make.
It's a weird moment.
Yeah.
I remember I cried.
What?
When I was deciding.
Because there's a lot of personal stuff that go into it.
Because there's personal, like your name is from your dad, and like my dad passed away, so I was like, wait a second, like this is me, this is how I'm tied to him, which in a way is really cool because I love these opportunities that present us with a moment of like personal growth.
Yeah.
Where you get to make a decision. So like
that's what's cool about getting married. You make one of those decisions.
So like to me it was like I had to make that decision. Like my connection to my dad is not having his last name at the end of my name. Like he is connected to me, period, you know? And so I had to make that decision, and that was hard for me to do. I actually contemplated it.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I want to do?
It's like, I remember you always kind of saying like, I would take someone's last name if I got married, and then when it came up, like you didn't think about it. It was hard. Yeah, it's like you didn't think about it, and you're like, oh crap.
It doesn't hit you till it hits you.
Yeah. So I mean, that's
a good question.
That was just one that kind of popped in my head. Okay, so second one, I'm just like kind of throwing these out if you could think of any of yourself, would be like financials. Are you going to combine them or are you going to keep them separate?
That's a good question.
Because, I mean, once you're married, you guys are all in. Like, what are you guys going to do?
Man, these things are so interesting. I would love to have another couple on the podcast.
Chime in on that.
Like your sister and her husband, because they're like, for the most part, complete opposites of us.
It's cool because they can play the devil's advocate on the other side.
That would be so interesting to have them on the podcast.
Maybe do a part 2 for this.
I mean, you and I have combined our finances for years.
Forever. I mean,
not forever, but it's since we started paying bills together years ago.
I was gonna say, well, what's unique about us, like she said earlier, is that we'd been dating for about 6-7 years before we actually got married.
8 years.
8 years. So we we were basically married, you know, without doing the actual paperwork, and we just did it recently, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of like the financial stuff at first, it kind of, for us, it's kind of just merged. I mean,
we started living together in 2014.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, like actually officially like got an apartment and like really lived together, and then eventually towards the end of 2014 started paying bills together. So that was what, like 2 years into our relationship, two and a half years. And it was sometime around then where I think we like started. You used to like Venmo me the bills and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know when it really started. I think it was like after we moved to Santa Cruz.
Yeah, I kind of just let her take over, honestly.
Yeah, because you suck. Because he's so unorganized with finances.
Leave me alone. You know what? I'm changing my passwords. That's it.
Do you even know your password?
I said it live. You're attacking me.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a point where it was much easier where he's like, just log into my account and transfer the money.
Yeah, because it was to the point where it was dumb. Like,
it was kind of.
I had all the money sometimes, and I'd be like, here, like, what do you need? And she'd be like, give me this much, and I'd be like, okay, and I would just transfer it over.
Oh, it was a headache.
But it was dumb because like then she would get it and then have to do it, and then it was just like at one point I was like, you know what? Just here's my password. Just take all my money. And it's kind of been like that to this day.
Yeah.
So to keep it simple, we have separate accounts, but we kind of could both access each other's accounts if we wanted to.
We do have one joint account as well.
Yeah.
So like sometimes we might just transfer into the joint account and transfer it over, but we do have separate accounts. It is kind of weird to just have joint accounts.
Yeah. Like I have my money, she has her money.
I've never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Like just having a joint account.
That'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, like just one card that goes to the same account. I don't know, that would bother me because I'd be like doing things or processing stuff and then you'd go buy something and then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what did you do?
No, I think in general, like a healthy couple should have separate accounts and maybe one together.
Yeah, separate and a joint.
Yeah. Which is what we have.
We have, our own checkings and savings, and then we have a joint checking account.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
I think so, but that's why we're married.
That's something to think about. You know, I feel like
that's true because I know like other people, they don't, right? They Venmo each other their bills or do Zelle or whatever it is that they do, and they just have completely separate accounts.
Shoot.
Which I'm sure there's pros to that, like just having your own like freedom, and I don't know. Maybe that's a whole nother set of conversations that has to happen.
What?
Like
financials.
Why do you want to have separate accounts? You know what I mean?
All right. So third question: do you make a I'm just kidding.
What?
I was gonna say.
Do you make a joint Facebook account? That's so insane.
It's old school.
Oh man, it's like I have relationship problems screaming it out the world.
Hold on. I forgot what I was gonna say because I made that dumb joke. I was gonna say another question I asked before you could get married. This is my third one. You're not thinking of any? You can't.
I just thought of one.
Go ahead, say it.
Okay, so I was gonna say, well, of course you have to have the conversation about kids, right?
The kids, okay.
That's a given, but we don't even. I mean, that is what it is. I think that's important though because like. I came into this relationship with a child, and so of course you want also a biological child.
I never necessarily wanted one.
But you did. You do. Like, you just weren't. We were so young, you weren't even thinking about it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you do want that in your life.
You know what that reminds me of is that one couple in 90 Day Fiance where that girl's like, do you want to have kids? And he's like, well, I'm still trying to, like, figure my life out, blah, blah, blah. And they're married.
Gosh.
So that's like, dude, that does happen.
Yeah, they don't talk about it.
So kids.
You just assume.
Third question. Do you want kids?
Do you want to have kids? How many kids do you want to have? What do you picture?
What happens if you
like, what if you wanted 5 kids and I'm like, hell no. You know, it's even like right now, like we're married now, I'm pregnant, and luckily we're on the same page, but I'm like, man, I'd love to have a daughter. I also don't know if I could do this again.
Yeah.
Like it's really challenging for me, but I think you're like the same. You're like, you see me going through it and you're just like, we'll see, you know?
We'll see how
but what if you really wanted another kid?
Like we have this
that
kid
could be
and
really
it's like
hard.
Amazing, and then I love it.
And I'm like, no, I can't do it.
Then I get a surrogate. There's ways.
So that's a question, but my actual question was a follow-up to that, which is more so, how do we spend the holidays?
Oh, dude, that's a good one. And for couples that have been dating for a long time, they kind of figure that out.
But like, think about then after you have kids. It changes.
It's a curveball.
Yeah, so like in our family, it's hard. Like with Christmas and New Year's and all the things, we go to your parents' house.
So holidays are big.
Now but it was always just me, you, and Alex, right?
Yeah.
And then we got a dog. Okay, that's fine. We figured it out. We created him. We take him and we just put him in his crate.
Oh, you said we created him. They said we created him. I was like,
we created him. And or we crate train so he can go into crate when we go to their house. Now we're having another kid.
So you got 2 kids, a dog.
And now it's starting to feel rough. And imagine we had another kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. And your family, for example, they open presents at midnight on Christmas. And then we come home because I'm insistent that we have to open.
Are you talking about your own relationship right now?
Well, no, I'm giving but I'm giving an example. So, for example, your parents, they open presents at midnight on Christmas Eve. Or Christmas, and then we have to drive home because it's important to me, for our kids, Santa comes to our house and we open presents in the morning.
Yeah.
So now we're in this predicament for the first time where we're like, oh wow, is this going to be too much?
I think that's a great example to show that things can change in a marriage.
Yeah.
Versus how it started to how it's going at the present moment. Yeah. I think that's a super good example. So for something that's so big, I mean, it could seem so minuscule. Some people don't even get to spend holidays with their families, but fortunate enough we are that we do get to spend time with our families.
Yeah.
But like you said, now that our family's getting bigger,
they live like an hour and a half or so
it's
away.
a little harder to get there. It's something that we haven't even discussed.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to do it with a baby.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's hard.
And when it
not to sound like we're old or anything, but we're also not 18, 19, 20 years old anymore. Like we were always really young. It was so totally chill to just throw our child in the car and let's go.
Yeah. Just him.
Yeah. It was easy.
Super chill.
Now it's it's starting to feel more difficult.
Dude, yeah. And it's like, I guess on my end, it's like understanding how difficult that is on you, because I know when things are hard for you, it makes it hard for all of us.
Yeah. I think it also that's when it's this whole thing is about communication, right? And it's it really is. I think sometimes in a relationship, especially as the woman, it's just tends to be the way that it goes, is they do everything on their own. They really just handle things, and so then the guy is relieved of so much that he doesn't quite understand how difficult things can be.
I'll wait for you in the car.
Yeah, stuff like that. And so with Jerome, especially now, it's not like that at all anymore. I think it was before in the past, years ago, but now it's oh no, if I'm unloading the car, you're unloading the car. If I'm packing up the dog, you're packing up the dog. I'm not doing this alone. Partnership.
Yeah. Well, before you would take charge.
I would just do everything. Yeah.
I'd be upstairs grabbing my clothes or something.
Chilling, yeah. And he didn't quite get it. But I think that's also important, because then when things change in your marriage, now you also know, especially with me being pregnant and having to do a lot on your own, you also know now, oh shit, this is hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's actually not that easy. So when these things come up, what do we do for Christmas this year? Now you understand.
Exactly.
And it's not just me trying to explain it to you.
So I guess that's holidays for us, but for other people would be maybe one guy's from New York, she lives in California, they live in California, they're married now.
Yeah, what's important to you about holidays? Do you need to be with family? Do you want to stay home? You know what I mean? What holidays?
You gotta go with your husband's side or the wife's side. You split the time. You pick 1 year this year, 1 year that year.
Yeah,
that's what couples do, right?
People do that. Yeah. I know.
That's tough, man. That sucks.
It is. I really try to. It's tough, and it just depends on everyone. I try to prioritize. I try to remember how in the moments, when you look back, it's those moments with your family that mean the most, right? It's the wedding, it's the Christmas when we were with everybody. Even though sometimes I know for me, I don't want to go. I err on the side of can we stay home? Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's because of the way I was programmed and my upbringing and my family, and it wasn't like that. So to me, I have to. I don't know, it's kind of weird to say, but I have to actively be a member of a family. Yeah. Does that make sense? I have to really try. And you're a little bit of just a homebody in general, so sometimes it's easy for you to also be eh. But I think at the end of the day, we're both dude, we should be there. It's important to be there. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a good question, is once you start your own family, I think there's also a conversation to be had. One thing I love that was in your sister's wedding vows that stood out to me, I don't know if you noticed it. She said, I vow to always prioritize our family. And I thought she's such a family person, such a family person. When we were talking about holidays and I was I don't know if we can do midnight presents next year for Christmas. She was like that's the most important to her, like those traditions, and like she'll be there when she has kids and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I could do that. But I thought that was interesting, and I thought that showed a lot. Is like when you get married, now it's about your family and then the rest of the family, which is crazy. But you got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? How do you prioritize your family and your household, the family you're creating? And then your parents, your siblings, your all the things. Like, that's such a mindset switch.
You just switch the questions.
That's the next question.
We're talking about holidays. Now we're going to
because it's the same thing, right? It's like you're prioritizing with the holidays as you are. Like, what's important to you for your kids and your family and your traditions and your household.
Yeah.
And then you have family traditions with your family as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that was in her wedding vows, she said.
So then I guess the next question would be like, how are you going to treat your new family that you're creating?
I think it's like, there's going to be moments, just hypothetically speaking, like where there's maybe tension in the family, or like maybe your mom's saying something. We don't really have these things, but like maybe your mom is saying something.
Mother-in-laws.
Yeah, and then your wife is saying another thing, and it's like, well, who do you listen to, or who do you respect?
Happens a lot,
Yeah, happens a lot in relationships.
As a guy with a mom, if you like didn't get along with them, like thank goodness they get greatly along, like they love you.
Yeah.
But like if my mom had some sort of riff with you, that would feel weird.
Yeah.
Right.
No, of course.
Like that's another.
There will be moments.
Another question.
Well, and so then you have kids.
Yeah.
And we have to remember, it's been a long time, but I remember when Alex was younger, there was certain things where she would say like, "Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that."
My mom.
Your mom. It's been so long now that it's like such a I don't even remember.
It's about to happen again.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we're having another kid, remember everyone thinks they know best.
Yeah.
And they're great parents as they are.
In their defense, they always have your best interest.
No, they do. Yeah. That's why I said they're literally usually great parents.
Yeah.
And so like with your mom, for example, it's like your mom might say, JJ, that's what they call him, you have to do this. And then I'm over there like, you're not fucking doing that.
I only love my bed and my mom. I'm sorry.
So there's those things. Yeah. And so the question is like, a good question is like, how do we handle those moments? Like who... do we have a conversation? Do you just be kind to your mother? Do you, because I think that's a problem in a lot of relationships, vice versa, with a woman and her dad maybe, who's telling her certain things, and then her husband's doing the opposite.
Imagine, like if your dad was like to me, he'd be like, you need to be doing this for Sarina, you need to be doing that for her, you need to take care of her like that. And then I would just reply and say, well, she's married to me now, so you just forget about it.
Okay.
Just kidding.
And there's that possession.
Yeah.
No, but it's a lot, right, with marriage. But I think that that's a big thing is like when you come into a marriage, I think it's like, how do you handle, like, I don't know how to put that into a question without making it.
Chirpers.
It's kind of like, where are your priorities? Like who, and not that you have to pick one over the other, but in your relationship, like, I don't know. I guess, like, what is the question? I don't know how to put that into the right words without being controversial.
How would you navigate input?
Yeah, how do you navigate those moments?
How would you navigate those moments from input from your immediate family into your relationship? Like, they try to give you advice, but it's, like, in their best interest.
Yeah.
And then you guys are kind of both there.
Yeah.
I feel like you see that a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's between you two.
Exactly.
Right? And then you could listen to what they say.
You can say thank you.
Yeah.
Smile and nod.
I think what's hard and what can make that situation bad is if they do, like, if you did take your dad's side or your mom's side and
that's where
you pitted yourself against me.
And I think that's why you need to have the conversation, because that might happen without you ever thinking about it.
Before you get married, right before you get married.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden you're married, and now the mom and dad for your significant other are there left and right, or their brother or sister, or their best cousin.
Whoever. Yeah.
Like immediate family, and they're over here chirping in your wife's or your husband's ear, and they're giving them all kinds of advice, and you're like, what?
Which also makes me think of one more question.
Go ahead.
Which is like, how do we go about, and it's not so much a question, but I think these are important things of like, do you speak to anyone about like your relationship problems? I think that's a big mistake personally. I think when people go like, let's say you're super close to like your mom.
Yeah.
And so something happens and we're going through like a rough patch, and you go and you're like talking to your mom and telling her all the things. Well, guess what? Your mom's never going to forgive me, but you will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's a tricky situation too, is like, I think a lot of people make that mistake or they don't ever have that conversation. But it's like once you go and tell your best friend all about the stupid thing your husband did that's like not that serious but like super annoying or whatever,
all of a sudden they're not looking at you the same.
They remember that forever, whereas you're going to work through it and hopefully get past it. You know what I mean? And so I think it's like when you have relationship problems, like what's the boundary there? Not that you can't turn to someone, you should have someone you could talk to, but that's, I think, also an important question.
Yeah, which is, who do you turn to when you're having relationship problems?
Yeah, I think it's just like how much do we share with like other people maybe?
Yeah.
Like what we're going through. But that's a hard answer. But I think it's just you should have, I think these questions are more so what I love. I actually heard this earlier. I was listening to Red Table Talk.
Oh, yeah.
And they were saying,
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, it's less about having rules in your relationship and more about asking the other person, where are your boundaries? Like, what would make you uncomfortable? And then respecting that.
Well, they were talking about polyamorous relationships.
They were. It was good.
So what the fuck?
But they were comparing it to monogamous relationships.
Oh, okay.
It was super interesting, though. But they were saying, like, well, in a monogamous relationship, like, this happens. And they're like, well, in polyamory, like, this happens. The questions, it's relationships, period. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter. But they were saying, like, well, in a monogamous relationship, you just expect the other person to not be with somebody else and then they like cheat on you or something.
Yeah.
So they were just saying there's certain things where it's like, well, what are your boundaries? Like, what are you okay with? What are you not okay with? And this wasn't about other people. Like, this was just in general in your relationship.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like knowing, like, what are you okay with? And I really like that. Just asking each other, what are your boundaries? Like, what makes you uncomfortable? What are your expectations?
And just in general,
in general, yeah. Instead of setting a rule and being like, you cannot do this, and then it's like, oh fuck, you're trapped. You know, I think that's a good way to look at it.
Reel it back in for a marriage, or if you guys are gonna get married and you want to think about if you want to think about another question, it would be who and how do we speak to our relationship problems about, and to who, and like, are we going to be doing it? Like, is it okay if I tell my mom about this problem that we had?
Like, are you okay with me turning to my mom and telling her about what's going on, because she's my person and I want to get advice from her?
She's my mom, you know?
Yeah, like maybe you're super close to her, whatever. You know what I mean?
What would you say?
I'd rather you talk to your best friend.
That's something to discuss.
Yeah, you know? I think it's hard because, like, if you tell your mom, maybe I said something stupid or, like, who knows, and then you tell your mom, like, my relationship with your mom's really important. And, like, we've had things in the past where, like, you'll make jokes. Jerome just wants to be so funny, and he'll make jokes to his mom about stuff that's, like, not even true. Or, like, maybe it is true, but it's, like, his mom doesn't need to know. And he'll make a joke and, like, tell her, and I'm just like, why would you tell your mother that? Like, do you want her to hate me? Like, hello, I'm working so hard here. There's certain things you just don't say to your mother about me. And I think it's kind of like those conversations. Is like, you have to know, like, those things can really damage. And, like, you know, there's certain things in relationships that, I don't know, I do think that you could be the most conscious, forgiving, compassionate person in the world, but that doesn't mean that the people you turn to are. Yeah. And so although we may get through a rough patch, which is expected in relationships at some point, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't pertain to the person you told.
I hear it. I was gonna say I'm moving on because I have a couple questions left.
Go.
And we're going along here. The next one I was gonna say is, should you? This is a little. I feel like even when you're married, you don't even talk about this. But like, how do you want to raise kids? Like, is that like a thing?
Yeah, I mean, do you mean like pertaining to
everything? Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, that's a big question.
When we're raising our kids, like, I'm gonna do this.
Mm-hmm. I think religion's a big one. And how do you want to raise your kids?
Yeah.
In terms of religion.
That's another one for marriage. Not even talking about kids.
Yeah.
What if one person's religious, the other person's an atheist, or one person's Buddhist and one person's Hindu, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Religion.
That happened with your sister, kind of, right? Yeah. Her husband now is like Catholic.
I don't even know.
But he wanted to get married in a Catholic church. In order to do so, she would have had to get baptized. She was willing to do that.
Yeah.
It ended up not happening because of COVID, but she was willing to do that. And so, like, I'm sure that was a big conversation.
Yeah.
To her, she was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, sprinkle the water on me and I'm like, let's just do it if it means that much to you.
Yeah.
So, but that's an important conversation, I would imagine. Religion.
I didn't even think about that.
When we started dating, we like had completely different religious views.
Yeah.
Right? And I hated half the things you said, and you would joke with me, and I hated it. And then eventually over time, like my views have evolved as well.
Yeah.
But then, like when you have kids, do your beliefs line up? How do you raise your kids? What do they believe in?
Yeah. Do you let them choose? You choose for them? You just take them? What do you do?
Yeah, exactly. Or what if we're two different religions? How do we do that? What's important to you?
That's a good question. So I don't know if you want to go back to the kid question or the religious question.
Well, that's just one avenue of kids. Like, you do have to make that decision with kids.
Stick with the kids.
Yeah.
So religion with your kids. Like, say one of us is Jewish and you're
Christian.
There you go.
Yeah, what do you do?
That's a tough conversation.
You have to have that conversation.
Man, because some people with religion, they're so in their ways.
Yeah.
I don't make them sound like bad people, but like...
You can tell where Jerome lies.
No.
If you're religious, it means a lot to you. Yeah, like obviously.
You're like not gonna change that.
If you really practice, yeah.
So it's like if I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, like
that could be a deal breaker.
If I've learned this since I was 5, and like this is what I truly believe, like the sun is coming up tomorrow, believe.
And I don't want my kid to believe that.
That's tough, dude. Like
I think that can like end a relationship.
If you're like, no, like my kid's not learning that would kill me inside, honestly. And
exactly.
I'm not even attached to it. That would kill me inside. Sad. Dude, I wouldn't even know what to say to you. I'd be like, you're not going to let me do this for my child?
Yeah.
I'd be angry.
That was on 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, really?
Remember?
90 Day Fiancé.
He lives in like Africa, and it meant so much that the baby had to get baptized.
Something like that, yeah.
And she was like Jewish.
Yeah.
And she was like,
she did
no.
It, right?
I think she ended up doing it for him. Yeah.
Man, that would suck.
Because all it means is like, what does it mean to you? To her, it's like, okay, I can accept that you're just putting water on my baby's head.
That's true.
And to you, it means something, but I don't actually believe it does anything at all. Exactly. So then why do you care?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess that would be a good way to look at it from the other person's shoes. But
it depends. Yeah. There could be so many scenarios. So yeah, that's a good question.
That's a tough
But how do you raise kids can come down to everything. Yeah. Like, do you homeschool? Do you public school? Do you private school? Do you what? How does that work?
Yeah. Disciplining them.
Where are you at with disciplining?
Feeding them. What are you going to feed
Alex
them?
said today, threatening your kids is not a good parenting technique. Just
the way you feed them. Like, what are you gonna like? Like, what if y'all want to give them this and you don't want to feed them this? Like, what if you're vegan and I love meat?
There's so many things.
And you're like, dude, no, my baby's gonna be vegan. Yeah. I'm like, well, I want to give him a steak.
It's funny because I think a lot of people could err on the side of like being like, we'll just go with the flow
it's easy to say that.
Exactly, until it happens and you're like, no.
Yeah, then it's weird because then you're sitting there and you have to think about it and talk about it.
Or you're mad and you're reacting instead of responding. Like, you're not in control of the situations that come up, and then now you have relationship problems.
Yeah,
I think that's really hard.
So what do you do?
Here's a good question.
Another question.
How do you want me to communicate things to you? Like I'm thinking of like big things, like if I have something to talk, like sexually, like what if I'm like, I'm not satisfied, or like something's going on, or what if you're like, man, like this one thing has really been bothering me, or can we try this new thing, or like, I don't know, those things that are like super awkward and you're like, fuck, how do I bring this up? For whatever
reason, they're like taboo and sexually you're talking.
Yeah, even with your partner, you don't even know how to talk about
topics here from kids. So
how you make kids.
Back to how you make. So we went from religion, talk about religion, talk about how you want to raise your kids, and now we're moving on to the sexual activities.
Yeah, I don't even just mean sexually. Like, how do you tell your partner when you're like, your breath stinks, or like, dude, what's up? What's going on with you lately? Like, man, you're really letting yourself go.
In this situation, we're talking about people getting married, so you have to assume let's just assume these couples have been together for 3 or 4 years and they're gonna get married. So for 3 or 4 years, you could be together for a year or two. It doesn't matter. Fine, let's do 1 to 5 years. Okay. So we'll make it easy for people. All right, so you've been together for about 1 to 5 years. You're thinking about proposing. You guys want to both get engaged, and you're gonna get married.
Have some conversations.
You can have some conversations. So one of them that you were saying that could come up is possibly like your sexual encounters with each other.
Yeah.
So I mean,
if you're gonna be in a monogamous relationship and you're gonna be together forever, like, there's gonna be some times where like you need to like spice it up or like
change it up.
Yeah, whatever. And like you're thinking about something, and I think a lot of people would just keep that to themselves.
They do, right?
Yeah.
Versus, I mean, I don't want to put our business out there, but me and Sarina are very like open with like what we do. How do you say that? I don't know.
Well, like if there's something on our mind, we'll just say, hey, oh, I was thinking about this thing.
Let's do this or let's do that. Like we're really open
or like I seen this thing and I was thinking, you know what I mean? Like whatever that looks like. But also those moments are still a little awkward. Like you still think about it in your mind. You're like, how do I say this without like saying this wrong? Like I want to make sure I say it right.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And so I think those are important conversations to have.
I think just being like compassionate about what you say and the way you say it.
You have to think about how it's going to land.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So I guess when it comes to...
It's so easy to trigger someone in one of these conversations. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like sexual stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just sensitive things.
Understanding that this person that you're going to marry is the person you're committing to life with. Yeah. So you better make sure that sex game is right. Right?
That's fine.
And if it's not, they have to be able to talk about it because, dude, if the sex game's not right, I mean, what's the point of even being in a relationship, right?
I don't know. Is that the point?
I mean, it's a big part.
No, it's a big factor.
Yeah, dude. It's definitely one of the driving factors.
I think, but I think just like overall, like I said, there's going to be times where like, you know, how do you tell your partner, like there's a point in relationships where I feel like you can get really comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like, where do you guys stand on that? Like, can I tell you if you're getting fat? I don't know. Yeah. Like, you know, it depends. Like, where's the sexual attraction? How important is that to you? Some people are like very intellectually attracted to people, and like maybe that doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
like I've heard that a lot. Like, no, it's the brains, and I'm like, good for you. But you know, I think that's a thing too, is like, how do you have those conversations? You obviously love this person, you find them very attractive, you married them.
Exactly.
And then also like when things start to slip and all of a sudden they're not tickling your pickle or like they're not getting you going anymore, something's wrong, like how do you say like that you're, I mean, without, this is not how you would say it, but how do you say like, man, like I'm not finding you attractive lately?
Damn.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like you're like something's slipping here, like what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Well,
if they're not going through like a depression or something.
See it. People get in relationships that get out of shape.
Yeah.
Because you get comfortable with who you're with.
They get super comfortable.
You both get out of shape.
Yeah. Together.
Yeah. It's the weirdest thing. It's like you weren't looking like that when you were trying to find
when you were getting married. Yeah.
It's funny because vainly enough, I think that way when it comes to our relationship. I'm like, I want to look the way I looked for Sarina when I first met her, like trying to be my best.
I think we both feel that way.
Right? Yeah. And it kind of keeps our energy and like our spark thriving.
Yeah. Well, it does. I think to us that sexual attraction is real and it's important. Yeah. Like that's a healthy part of our relationship, and that's important to us. Mm-hmm. Like I want to be attracted to my husband. What the hell? Exactly. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like
so, yeah, like that's important. But like also there's going to be times where that's maybe not 100% the case, and that can be fine, you know what I mean, depending what we go through in life, like things happen. But like also, you know, how do you have this conversation? Like I said, like a good example is like, dude, like your breath's been smelling lately, like you need to go get a teeth cleaner. Like how do you tell your partner something like that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, I'm trying to think of like something else that's embarrassing, because as humans, like sometimes shit happens and like it's embarrassing. But if no one tells you, then you're like, oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know,
I guess, yeah, like you said, it's just how like you say it. How do you say that?
Yeah. I think the question would be like, how do we tell each other like things that may be uncomfortable or things that are on our mind that might make you uncomfortable?
Be it sexual, hygiene,
whatever.
Like sensitive topics like weight, physical appearance.
Yeah. Those are hard. Like you even say weight and I'm like, you want to mention my weight and I want to slap you.
So it's like mentioning those, like thinking about those things, because maybe I gained 15, 20 pounds in our 50-year relationship, and you gotta tell me like, Jerome, check yourself, like dude, what are you doing? You know, without being mean. And maybe I'm just going through something that I haven't told you. Like, you know, or like maybe I'm tired, maybe my body hurts or something.
Yeah.
But it's just the way like you come down to the communication with that, right?
Yeah. It could also just be like maybe there's something on your mind. I'm trying to think of a good example, like, you know, I think sometimes like we think of things like there's something on our mind, and just like how do you tell your partner? Like, some things can be kind of awkward to just bring up.
Dude, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's almost basic, like, communication with each other.
Well, it all is. Yeah. But it's like, how would you like me to express those thoughts to you?
Yeah, and you guys should both be open to hearing each other out.
Well, that's the thing, too.
Some couples are so closed off, or like, I almost see it depicted in movies where it's just like, remember like the movie we were just watching yesterday, like the husband doesn't even see his wife in a way, like, and it's
he
just
wasn't
like,
hugging her.
It's just like, dude, how do you, like, I can't even fathom being in a relationship where I don't want to hug.
Well, that's a good example. So like she said, like, my husband we haven't had sex in months, let alone he hasn't even hugged me. Like, and she's like trying to get his attention, and he's just like, he's like jumping in the bed, and she's like trying to jump on him, and he's like puts his headphones on and watch Netflix on his tablet.
Yeah,
or whatever. Like, you just fall into a routine.
Yeah, the routine.
Yeah, and so it's like, but here's the thing that happened in that movie. She wasn't telling him.
Yeah.
She wasn't saying like, hey, like, I'm trying to have sex with you. Like, what is going on? Why are we not intimate together?
Yeah.
Where was the communication? So it's like, how do you want me in a moment like that to bring it to your attention without hurting your feelings?
Yeah, and it does get this deep, man, because when it comes to marriage,
relationships,
yeah, well, we were talking about people getting married.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to wanting to get married, it is that serious of a commitment. It's just like, I don't know if you fully understand it till you get married yourself, but I remember like realizing, like, man, like, this means a lot. Like, this shit is serious. Like, getting married isn't a game, guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit is real. Like, this is your one person.
It's a lot, yeah.
If you're gonna do it, make sure you know the answers to these questions, and make sure you ask these questions, because you don't want to be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in, and then you're like, man, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, what is like the statistic about how many marriages fail?
It's not good.
Yeah, like how much of them fail, blah blah blah, after so many years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty quick, and it's probably because of lack of communication. And
it is.
These questions could help you, and it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I have another one that's kind of fun but kind of serious. Is like, how do you
50% of marriages end in divorce.
50% of marriages end in divorce. That means either me or my sister are getting divorced.
Dang.
And right now, I'm just kidding.
All right, go ahead.
So that's how 50%. Like, that gives you an idea. Like, me and my sister, that's 100% right there.
That's
cut us in half. One of us is failing at saying.
That's crazy.
Like, that's what the statistics show, and it's because of questions like these. Like you don't think about it at the time when you're doing it, because you see what's in front of you.
You see the present moment. You're not thinking of the long term. Yeah.
Which is good, like, to be there in the present moment.
Yeah.
But it's just like thinking about the future and thinking about those questions and how you're going to navigate all these issues,
these things matter so much.
I have like a last one.
Go ahead.
I have two more things to say, but
throw them in there.
This is going long.
Yeah, you have to leave soon.
Dude, I know. Holy crap.
So
the first one was going to be prenuptial agreements.
Oh, that's a good one.
Do you sign them or do you not sign them? We didn't even look into that, to be honest.
We didn't, but years ago you always would say like, oh, we're going to sign a prenup.
I did say that.
You would say that, and then all of a sudden Sarina got successful and Jerome's like, I'm not signing a prenup. Yeah. No, but that's interesting because I remember bringing it up once, and so he used to always say, we're going to sign a prenup.
You said that just in case
I used to always say,
you're going to bring this up in court.
And I used to always say, what's the point of getting married if you expect me to sign a prenup? You're already planning for the failure of our marriage.
We're about to trigger hella people with this. Here we go.
Well, that's what I would say. You're already planning for the failure of our marriage. Fast forward however many years and we're going to get married. There was one moment where I think your brother, of course, go figure, he said something about a prenup. And then I was like, oh, maybe we should look into that. Mm-hmm. And then I asked you about it, and you were like, well, what's the you gave me my same answer right back to me. What's the point of signing it? You're basically planning for the failure of our marriage. So I just kind of dropped it and let it go. Mm-hmm. And that was it. Like, it was just like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? But that's a big question.
It is.
Prenup or no prenup? That's a super triggering question too, because it's like, well, why do you want a prenup?
Also depends where you are in life. Like, if I had like a $1 million business and maybe I did just meet you.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe I did. You're stupid. You don't have $1 million business. Stop doing that.
I'm about to though.
Anyways, maybe you did just meet this person like a year ago and you guys fell in love madly. A year is not that long, and now you want to get married.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I protect my business? Do I go all in with this girl that I've known for a year that I feel like I want to go for the rest of my life?
Yeah, if you're all, but then man, there's so many conversations to be had there, which we don't even have enough time to have, but it's like, you want to marry her, but you want to protect your business over her? Like, you might, just because you might get divorced. What do you mean? Then why are you getting married?
Yeah, but you don't know. I don't know. That's like a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But that's something to think about. That's like a huge thing that you talk about when you get married.
Yeah.
Is whether or not you're going to do it. I would like to hear a devil's advocate response of why you should do it.
Oh, I'm sure there's some great reasons to do it.
Yeah?
You know what I mean?
Tax purposes? I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know, but I'm sure there is.
I would love to hear someone's opinion on why they did get one or why you should get one. Can you still get one while you're married? Maybe I could slide one in.
Okay. You're so dumb. Well, but then, like, on the opposite side of that, I think we'll just leave this question here is like, you know, okay, cool. So what if we signed a prenup? And then I was like, well, I have this business that I'm growing and I expect it to be here and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. But then it's like, well, okay, now let's talk about what you contributed so that business could be successful. Like, do you not deserve anything, or vice versa? What if you had a super successful
you're
business?
Already going to court right now.
But do you know what I mean? Like, what if you had a super successful business, but I'm over here doing all the back end and all this stuff?
Well, they take that into factor.
That's what I'm saying is, so then if I signed a prenup saying I don't get anything, and I'm like, well, what the fuck? I'm behind the scenes, like, backboning your business.
That Jeff Bezos, bro.
Dude, well, I mean, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, it's super sticky. But
yeah, that one's tricky. And it's a hard question to answer. And I think that ultimately comes down to the couple and what you guys see as that's fit.
Yeah, but it's important. I think it'd be more so like if you feel strongly about a prenup, that's a really important question to have, because it might trigger the other person. They might not want to sign a prenup.
Honestly, dude, if you're a real fucking baller, you wouldn't even give a fuck about signing one, because you're like, I'm just gonna make my money tenfold.
Yeah, but if you had to give that person half,
money forever,
that's insane.
Yeah, it might piss you off, like cheat on you or something.
Well, yeah, so anyways, we'll leave that there.
Devil's advocate would say, what if you don't want to sign a prenup and you started your $1 million business together, blah, blah, blah. About 15 years down the line, she's been cheating on you for 5 years. Now you have to give her money for the rest of your life because you didn't sign the prenup. But see,
I think there's things to getting married where it's like if they cheated on you. But see, like, these are things we should know.
Things you should have checked on, or things you should look up.
Yeah.
But why is she cheating on you? What happened?
I'm like, that's your fault.
Why did he cheat on you?
All right, what's your last question? Let's go. We gotta wrap this up.
Last one to wrap up this whole thing. Hopefully we're still recording. Because we usually never go this long.
Yeah.
Last thing would be, as individuals coming into a marriage, how important it is to make sure you as an individual are like united. Or like all put together.
Yeah.
And how I am too. Just as two separate people becoming one, as they say.
Yeah.
Like, how important is it, do you think, that me and you kind of have our shit together? And when I say that, I mean like mentally. Like, we are in a good place.
Yeah.
Do you think we could have got married 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
Yeah.
You think so?
Nothing would have changed. You still would have did the same things.
You don't know?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, if we're still in this relationship,
so I guess
signing a marriage license wouldn't have changed.
So I guess the question to ask that I should have asked you is, like, do you guys both separately need to be in the best position of your life to get married, or like mentally super prepared for the marriage?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think that's important?
The way you said that, you don't think that's important? I think that
to just be like a happy person.
If you're both ready to get married, yeah, I mean, ideally, hopefully you're both in a good, like a decent place in your life, obviously, because you're going to go through things together and you need to be able to weather those storms. But I also think you need to be okay with growing together. You don't have to have it all figured out. Like, what the fuck is the difference if you sign a marriage license or you just stay together for the next 10 years? Like, you know, if getting married is important to you, cool, get married and keep going. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be 10 years in the future and have everything figured out and be like all put together, and like, you're never going to be put together. So, all right, Drum had to reset the camera.
Sorry, guys. So anyways, I was saying in the recipe, I remember he says, like, try to be the best version of yourself, and then you'll find like your best significant other kind of person.
Well, yeah, like I always tell my clients, you know, like attracts like, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to attract someone at a certain caliber, a certain level in their life, a certain level of consciousness even, or personal development or success or whatever, you need to first embody that yourself and then attract that. I see my clients start with me, they'll attract one partner, and then over time as they grow, the people they attract just get better and better. The quality just gets better. Why? Because because you're no longer looking at the person you used to be looking at. You're like on a whole nother level now, mentally and in your mindset and in your life. So you're attracting a better quality individual. You have to be there first. You attract like attracts like, literally.
Yeah. So I guess if you both like in a shitty place, make sure
you're already together.
Make sure
if you're having these conversations.
Make sure you're able to elevate.
Make sure you're just on the same page with your growth, I think.
Exactly. That's kind of like us.
Yeah.
We were making like $9 an hour.
Yeah, it's definitely not all about money, but in general, like we're completely different humans.
Exactly.
And just like, what do you want out of the future? Like, which direction are you going? Like, you should
make
have that
sure
idea.
you guys are both ready to grow in the best way possible. To wrap it up.
All right.
Wow, we went.
I always say that. I'll leave you with this. You want to make sure that you don't just have chemistry, but that you're actually compatible. And part of knowing that you're compatible is knowing that you have the same vision for the future, the same ideals, the same, you know what I mean? Like, you're going in the same direction, because you can have chemistry with a lot of people, that sexual desire, that chemistry, and that can fade. And so if you just have chemistry with someone, that's awesome. But if you're not compatible with them, the relationship's not going to work. You can't always change what people want in their life.
I guess I won't say anything else.
Yay.
All
right.
Good, guys. I hope you enjoyed that.
That was a great episode.
One of our longest ones ever. But thank you for listening. If you have any more marriage questions, ask us. If we missed something, ask us. If you have any questions, ask us. If you have any feedback, ask us, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
We'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Bye.